But first things first, Frankie, how are you? Some big personal news, Frankie.
Oh, well, yeah. Finally, Aston Villa have signed me up to a 5-year contract. They've decided they need me to, fill the gap there if there's any injuries. No, that has not happened. My dream has not happened. But he said something else equally as dreamlike happened where, firstly, I must apologise. There was no podcast last week after the Fulham win, an amazing win.
Yeah.
Fantastic to bounce back from a couple of shaky results we've had. But there was a reason for it. I was in Barcelona. And in Barcelona, one of my favorite cities in the world, I got engaged.
Hey, well done, Frankie.
Hey!
Congratulations from all of
Yeah.
us here at All Villa No Filler.
So that's just you then.
Just me, just me.
Just you. Yeah. Yeah. So basically everything in my somewhat uneventful life always comes back to Aston Villa. And even my engagement came back to Villa because it was on a Saturday, unseasonably amazing weather in Barcelona in February. And I know Spain's warm and all that, but February is not usually that warm in Barcelona,
Mhm.
but it was. And we went to a rooftop bar. I had the ring on me. I thought, right, I'm gonna, I went to the jewelry quarter, got the ring there, of course.
Very nice.
Birmingham symbolism, all that stuff, and yeah, went to the bar, and I was like, right, okay, gonna do it now. So came back. She said, "Oh, have you seen?" I said, "What?" What? She goes, "Ollie Watkins has made it 2-0." I was like, amazing.
It's a sign from the
Yes.
gods, Frankie.
I was like, I don't know what I'm more happy about right now. What's the highlight of my day now? I don't know. Have I been upstaged by Ollie Watkins? I just don't know. So yeah, she said Watkins has scored again. So I was like, oh, fantastic. Anyway,
By the way,
the waiter sent this box over, so I pretended the waiter had given a box. She opened it thinking it was a chocolate, and then there was a lovely little ring from the jewelry quarter, and
uh,
she said, let's just wait till full time and see if Villa win this because I'm a bit stressed out. The reason I'm doing an Australian accent is because she is from Brisbane.
she is Ange Postecoglou.
She is, yeah. Yeah, she was massive Brisbane Roar fan. Yeah, she's yeah, Brisbane's only Villa fan. I know there are actually Villa fans in Brisbane. I see there's some listeners out there. So hello, please comment and say hello to us, and say whatever. But yeah, she said yes, and then obviously after that I was looking online. I was like, oh, please hold on, and then we got the win. And it was like perfect, perfect weather in Barcelona, one of the best cities in the world. Villa won. Ollie Watkins had just scored. She said yes. And on top of that, I actually had disguised going to get the ring as me going to a Villa game. So the week before, when we played Man United, I'd actually bought tickets to it. And she was a bit like, oh, you're going to Birmingham again? You're leaving me down here on my own? I was like, yeah, oh, but I've got to go to this game. And in reality, I was actually going to the jewelry quarter to get the ring, but I
Nice.
disguised it with a Villa game. But the thing was that I went and got the ring in the jewelry quarter, and then I did actually go to the Villa game. So that ring, its first experience of the world, was coming with me to Villa Park
And losing against Man United.
and
I mean,
losing against Man
just,
United. And I
of
was like,
course it was.
yeah, I was kind of like, oh, that's not a good omen. But then it was all made up for with Ollie Watkins coming to the rescue. So I hope Ollie hears about this one day. I hope he somehow, some way, he can hear about this. And he not that he'll particularly care, but it's a nice little story, isn't it?
It's a lovely story, Perhaps he'll be the usher at your wedding, Frankie.
Can
If
you
once he hears
imagine?
about this story, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Can
It's
you
funny,
imagine?
isn't it? Like so many of my personal sort of highlights and times in my life which I can remember, I sort of link them so intrinsically to Villa moments as well.
Same.
So forget when I proposed to my now wife Rosie. That was the same day, March the 1st, 2020, just before COVID ravaged the entire world. That was the day of the League Cup final between Villa and Man City.
Oh, was it? Oh,
It
right.
was, yeah, it was. So that also St. David's Day here in Wales. So that was quite a big day. And then the night before Alfie was born, I was on a massive high because Villa had just beaten Arsenal at the Emirates 3-0.
Mm.
Um, that was the kind of the when sort of Barkley played for us and did so well in the early stages at Villa, and I think Watkins scored a great goal, and Grealish was on fire, and I think you probably remember that we had the black away kit that we
Yeah, it
were
was
wearing.
cool, wasn't it? It looked good.
So yeah, that was it's funny just how we sort of link all those things together. But hey, listen, Frankie, congratulations.
Yeah.
Many congratulations.
Yeah, primarily for Aston Villa winning at Fulham. That's obviously the biggest story of the day. But
Yeah, that was the story of the day. And of course, we have to move swiftly on to another big story of the weekend,
whoa,
Frankie. Aston Villa 4, Nottingham Forest 2. Now, I think before the game, a lot of Villa fans were probably talking about that game being a must win, particularly with Spurs, our top four rivals on the horizon. We did it. It looked a lot more comfortable after about 40 minutes, but then it started to get a bit more uncomfortable as the game wore on. How did you see it, Frankie?
oh well, Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He's not going to be happy, is he? After what we did to him, we were like the sheriff of Nottingham, turning up and tearing down his home. Yeah, it was. I mean, amazing to see Villa get 2 wins in a row. I think the Fulham away win was really impressive. They're a very
Yeah,
well coached team, and I think with the way Villa's, we had a couple of shaky results. We had a bad result against Chelsea, a bad result against Newcastle, a really frustrating loss against United, and so to come back with all the injuries we have and win 2 games in a row against Fulham, and against Nottingham Forest is massive. Given the pressure, you look back in history and you think whenever we've been pushing towards the Champions League or top four or even the title, with John Gregory in '99 and Martin O'Neill a couple of times in 2000s, February tended to be the moment when it all fell apart. And, with Villa, you sort of think, all right, the Villa of old, we'd have had a couple of bad results and then we'd have gone and played at Fulham and lost, or we'd have played
yeah,
Nottingham Forest at home, drawn or lost or whatever. And instead, we've gone and won both of those games. And I think it's suggestive of the mental strength of this team and the ability. We are an excellent football team, and we're coached by a fantastic manager. He is Unai Emery is doing an absolutely just extraordinary job at Aston Villa, and so the Forest game. I think from the first minute, it kind of felt like Aston Villa were at it and absolutely at it, and Nottingham Forest completely were not at it. I thought Forest were absolutely abject, to be honest.
mm,
And I think the 2 goals they got, I call them amigos falsas, false friends. Sometimes there's a goal that you get where it's like a consolation goal that gives a little bit of a flattering scoreline. And I sort of think 4-2 is quite flattering for the way Forest played overall in the game. I think
mm.
their 2 goals came moments when it was just before half time, set piece. That is a problem for us, set pieces at the moment. We need to
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
out
yeah,
for that Luton.
yeah.
It was a poor goals concede. And then straight after half time, we've lost Pal Torres. The defense is not quite set, and they get a goal straight after as well. But they did get a couple of like ridiculous chances that came about from our defense looking shaky, but I just didn't think they were impressive at all, really, Forest. I think, given the players that they have, I think they're better than what they showed.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I think, but also I think it's suggestive of just the quality Villa have, particularly in attack. I thought we were exceptional. We really were. I thought Leon Bailey, you know, he's in the Jack Grealish zone. I look at him now and I'm getting the same level of love I had for Jack Grealish. I'm wanting to write poetry about him. I'm staring up at the stars at night and, smoking a cigar, all this poetry going around my head. He's got the magic of Gandalf. Gandalf looks at him, throws his staff down and goes, I led the Riders of Rohan to Helm's Deep. I single-handedly laid the smackdown on Saruman. I look at Leon Bailey. I can't outmagic this guy. Sauron would look at his own ring and he'd throw it in the cracks of Mount Doom himself because I can't compete with Leon Bailey. The magic of this man. Can you believe how amazing Leon Bailey is now, George?
Oh, phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. And I think you're right. The Greenish comparisons are fair insofar as, I think when he first joined, he's one of those players that we criticised as being one of the wingers. They're quite common, to be honest. They can be relatively one-dimensional, inconsistent. Will have like one decent game and then have 2 or 3 where he's a 5 or 6 out of 10 and not much. An end product is sort of eked out of them. But now it seems like every game that Bailey plays, when he gets the ball, he's so positive. He's on the front foot. He's marauding into the box. I mean, how many cutbacks was he sort of laying off to Ramsey or to Watkins or to he just looks fantastic, and the goal that he set up for Watkins was just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Sort of getting past Forest's left back and then through the legs and over to Watkins. It was just brilliant.
it was. It was. I think I thought him and Cash it's as a tandem yesterday worked really well together. But I think kind of everyone, the defense was shaky, but I think that everyone sort of from midfield up to attack was absolutely amazing. I thought Leon Bailey was just extraordinary. I think the what he did to set up that first goal, the hot. It's amazing. It is just amazing to watch him now. As I say, it's the Grealish thing. You just think you expect magic, and that
Yeah,
he followed that up by then basically having the key pass for the second goal with an extraordinary pick out of Matty Cash, who'd made a really good run, perfectly weighted. Um, and Cash did really well to pull it back then to Ramsey. And Ramsey himself then did really
yeah,
well to instinctively sort of know where Louise would be. And Louise with a great finish.
yeah,
He's what an amazing season he's having. A brilliant performance from him, I thought, apart from right at the start of the second half where he lost it a couple of times. And Unai Emery actually mentioned that. He said, I need you to not do that. And he, eked it out of his game after that. And Villa improved as a consequence. But and then the third goal, again, John McGinn, another player who I thought was absolutely brilliant.
yeah,
Having to play in that CDM role essentially, his physicality, his passing, it was superb. And a great ball in for Douglas Luiz again to make it 3-0. And I think that again came from Matty Cash doing a super pass out to McGinn, a sort of first time pass with the back to goal. I thought that was really good. And so I think in attack, Cash was very good. I don't know whether with the second goal, whether it was Cash or Chambers, it was about. I think maybe Cash should have followed Morgan Gibbs White.
yeah,
But you kind of have to give the defense a bit of leeway. Obviously, you don't want them to make mistakes. You don't want them to concede goals. But there is some leeway here where these guys I know they train together every day. They are very used to playing with each other, but at the same time, it's different to playing together in a game.
yeah.
And these
I
guys
mean, I mean,
are.
that- you know, our centre half partnership for 45 minutes was our fifth and sixth choice centre
Yes.
halves,
Yeah.
which is astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thought that went through my mind was that Paul Rudd meme where, he's talking to that guy like, yeah, who would have thought it, huh? Not me. Not yeah, like these are two guys that you wouldn't have Longley and Chambers. You wouldn't have had them as our Premier League starting centre halves, would you? But because of
No.
our shocking this season, they're patched up together, and hopefully, Pau Torres's injury isn't significant. I don't, by the sounds of things, it didn't seem to be too bad. It sounds much more precautionary than anything more significant. We'll wait and see on that one, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think given the fact that Cash arguably isn't our first choice right back, certainly not our centre backs, and Moreno and Dina, it's a bit of a coin toss between those two at left back. So,
Mm.
it was a patchwork defence, so that does have to be taken into account.
Yeah, definitely. And I think again, it suggests the mental strength of Villa because there's in the past, as we saw when we played a Nuno Espirito Santo team a few years ago when we played Wolves, we were 2-0 up to the 80th minute.
Yeah.
They got a goal and they came back 1-3-2.
Mhm.
Like I keep saying it. I think every other podcast keeps saying it. The Villa of old would have, Nottingham Forest make it 3-2 in the 46th, 47th minute. My inner Villa fan was saying from the harsh experience of being a supporter of this great club is I'm quite used to the idea that maybe Forest are now going to actually make it 3-3 and maybe even 4-3. Instead, Villa didn't calm, all good, took control of it again, and went and got the fourth goal. And I think full credit to Tielemans. So I thought his passing was really on point. I thought his tackling was really good yesterday. I thought he pressed really well. He was very energetic. I think it's great to see that from when he started at Villa. It looked like he was coming in with quite low confidence from his last season at Leicester. Things hadn't been good for him. But ever since that AZ Alkmaar game away, where we won, was it 4-1? Where him and Bailey were brilliant together. The two of them have been absolutely exceptional. Well, have been really, really good at least since.
Yeah.
And I think Tielemans, I thought he was good yesterday, and it was a great ball. He pressed, great ball into Watkins. Watkins again, a fantastic performance from him. Everyone, he was just brilliant and turning so well. And the ball comes to Leon Bailey and he scores. And so, attack wise, you have to give full credit. to us. But like I say, I think defensive wise, I do worry a little bit. There were a couple of chances that you think it is a patchwork defense, and you do think it is a bit worrying, to think if we go to Luton next week, for instance, they're just going to bombard us with high balls into the box at times, aren't they? They're probably going to try and hit us that way. And I wouldn't be surprised if, given the way we've been conceding goals from set pieces or from corners recently, whether, Luton might actually get some joy that way. But that said, seeing the way we got results against Fulham and Nottingham Forest, I can't help but feel confident going to Luton as well. As hard a place as that is to go.
I mean, there's a few things I want to say about the side as it currently is. I mean, one is the fact that we managed to get two very good results, despite our injury problems and how many players are missing, is a testament again to Emery's coaching and ability to move players around tactically, play players in a different way, and still manage to get results in an effective way. Fulham, we dominated, deserved to win. Forest, for large spells, we dominated and deserved to win. And despite all the players who are missing, it's testament to both him and the players who are fit, that they're doing one hell of a job to try and make sure that we secure Champions League football. Another one is there just seems to be so much faith among the players playing that those around them are going to give 100% to the cause, and they're all gifted quality players that can affect games. I mean, if you're Douglas Luiz or Watkins or Bailey, and you're looking around at the other players around you, you're thinking, yeah, I mean, what team we've got, how talented are my teammates, that I know that if I pass it to a John McGinn, or if I'm Douglas Luiz and I pass it to a Leon Bailey or a Watkins, that they've got the confidence and the ability at the moment to make something happen for the team. And amazing to see, and it's obviously not something I'm used to seeing. I think certainly not we're used to seeing as a Villa fan, as Villa fans. And I do think actually the next couple of weeks could be the defining weeks in our season. I know we talk about a lot. I mean, every game now until the end of the season is vitally important, but this particular phase I think is important because we've got Luton and Spurs, our next two Premier League games, and in between all that, we've got our first knockout game of the Europa Conference League against Ajax. I mean, we haven't talked about that yet. I mean, what a draw that is for Villa. The giants of Ajax in Europe. Just an incredible fixture to look forward to. Obviously, that's a return to the Conference League. We haven't played Conference League football for a few months. How do we manage that, as well as the critical games in the Premier League that are happening within days of each other? I think it's really important that we try and keep players as fit and fresh as possible, albeit with our sort of quite limited squad as we have it. And if we come out of the next week or so, couple of weeks, with positive results against Ajax and Luton and Spurs, I will feel so much more confident about the rest of the season as well. I think that really would be, setting a benchmark that, we mean business, and we want to win both. That's such an important competition and a trophy, which we haven't done in so long, and cement that top four position. So I'm really intrigued. I'm looking forward to it. We're finding form again at just the right time after we had that blip, at the end of last year into this one, and that will take us then into the end of March, and then it's then a couple of months to go into the end of the season. I think it sets us up really, really nicely to try and achieve something.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. And I think you'd have said, you say that run we've got coming up, you'd have said before Fulham and Forest, you look at them games, you think if you want to get Champions League, you're probably games you have to win.
Yeah.
Fulham away is a very difficult game, I think. And that was, again, like I say, you're coming off the back of some shaky results. And to go and get that win was a really and it could have been, I think 2-1 was quite flattering, really. As I think 4-2 was quite flattering to Forest. I think both games could have been a bit more convincing. It was really impressive, and it's a great start to that run that we've got that is quite crucial now. And as you say, to get that 6 points, and to just get away from Tottenham, have a game in hand now, but then also get away from Man United, Fulham. I think I might possibly have cheered louder for the Fulham goal, for Iwobi's goal, than I did for our own.
Well,
Um,
I said this on the last show, didn't I, Frankie, about Man United and you know how I said, you know, we're not a Man United podcast, but I just want to make this point that there's nothing that I've seen in Man United in the game against us and the game they played against Luton after us now that made me think that they are going to be knocking on the door, so to
no,
speak. And regardless of what, you know, commentators or you know, football pundits might say about United potentially going on this big run, yes, they've lost Hoyland, and he's a big loss because his current form is so good. But you know, Man United shouldn't be relying on just one player to
no,
make the difference for them.
yeah,
But clearly, they struggled without him against Fulham. And just they're just too inconsistent, and I don't want to rely on the inconsistency of Man United for us to secure European football again for next season. Obviously, we need to take care of ourselves first and foremost, and I think Emery will stress that point. I'm sure he will, and the players will know that obviously too. But it does bring me quite a lot of solace knowing that United still, after all these years since Fergie left, especially, are just incredibly inconsistent and
yeah.
cannot really be relied upon to do things themselves, basically.
Yeah, I think it was because I think it's just that because obviously there's the name factor, isn't there? Is Manchester United,
Of
and
course, yeah.
you just kind of think like they're just eking out these results, and but they're playing so badly. Every time I've watched them this season, I'm like, yeah, like I watch Tottenham, I watch Villa, and I have an absolute idea of what they are.
Yeah.
And there'll be games where they both play absolutely fantastic football.
Mhm.
And you kind of want to see teams like that. Be like, well, look, like you want teams that are playing like this to be successful. Obviously, we don't want Tottenham to be as successful as Villa. Of course we don't. But you do want these teams, you respect those teams and think you know, they should be up there competing. You look at United, and I
Yeah.
think obviously you earn it competing by winning, which is what they've been doing recently. They just play such garbage football, and
Yeah.
it was
It's
like every time, and like it was like the 85th minute. I said to my girlfriend, I went, I know what's going to happen. They're 1-0 down. I'm like, they're going to equalise in the 88th minute from a corner, and then they're going to score in the 97th minute. And we're going to have to listen to all the former Man United pundits going on and on and on. You know, this is the Manchester United way. We're coming back. Aston Villa, little Tottenham, they're going to have to deal with us or not. And then, Rio Ferdinand's going to do another tweet about Douglas Luiz or something. Well, he was a bit quiet yesterday, wasn't he?
he was.
Zipped his lips up then, didn't he? Couldn't find his phone to tweet about it, could he? You know, like it's not that I hate Man United or anything, but it's just knowing like, look, we are competing with them. You know, we're competing with them and Tottenham now to get top four, and you do kind of want to look at their results, and to see Fulham pull that out was
Yeah.
it was quite fun.
It
Yeah,
was, yeah, no, you know, in the past couple of weeks, Fulham have done us a massive favour.
they've done us a lot
Very,
of favors
very,
for like
very,
4 years now.
yeah. Well, exactly. Thank God they beat us in the Championship playoff final all these years
Yeah.
ago because it meant, you know, we managed to get
I,
the owners we've currently got.
I
So
never forget when they beat us 3-0 last season. It's Gerard sacking within like an
yeah, yeah,
hour.
God, yeah,
Professor
yeah, yeah.
Unai in.
I think they're my second club now, Fulham.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a lovely little ground. It's a lovely little
it's a
walk up
lovely
to the
little ground,
ground.
lovely
Lovely
club.
area, Fulham. You know,
Yeah,
Hugh Grant supports them. I could see me and you in a film like Notting Hill, George. Accidentally
yeah.
walk into a Hollywood star, spill coffee all over themselves. They
Oh,
scold
oh, oh, oh,
themselves.
oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me clean you up. Let me. Yeah.
Sound more like Boris Johnson than Hugh Grant there, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks, Frankie.
Yeah,
I'm much more positive now about the future. Amazing how fickle we are as football fans, isn't it?
totally fickle. I
Yeah.
totally accept we
Watch
are
us
really
lose to
fickle.
Luton and Spurs in a couple of
Yeah.
weeks, and
It's the end of the world.
yeah,
Emery
yeah, yeah,
out. Bring
yeah,
Gerard back.
absolutely.
Fulham
But no,
do us a favour and beat us next time so Emery can get sacked. Was it? No. I don't want that to happen. Please, God.
it's great. It is great. I'm really enjoying this season, and yeah, hopefully we can continue this and it all looks good for us in May. And the one other thing I wanted to mention was, did you see that sort of bizarre interaction between Emery and Luca Dean?
I did, yeah.
Like, I have no idea what that was all about. I think maybe Emery had seen something on the pitch that he wanted Dean to do, and
Yeah.
he came on, and Dean was like, "What are you talking
Well,
about?"
I saw a friend of the show, a French Villa fan called Quentin Guesp, tweeted about how it was always, it was a bit of a jokey interaction. So I
Yes.
think like
Yeah.
Emery himself was laughing. I think Emery joked about it after the game. So I think but I think it's one of them things where he's just so obsessed with football, sees something, and then he just, when he just picks him out, like Dean must have just been like,
It's
what are
like,
you,
what?
what are you on about?
Yeah. It was quite funny. It was very
I'm going to
funny.
do that
So
in future. Like when there's like a pass that's misplaced, I'm going to turn around in the whole tent at someone, just start going at them like, "Do you see that? Did you see that?"
as the stewards are sort of wrestling you out of the stadium, out of the
Yeah, all the
ground.
fans booing me like, "Who's this idiot?" Oh, he's an idiot. That bloke. Get him out.